What's going on, guys? Thanks for tuning into the Random Channel. I'm Kevin Duffy, and I just watched episode 5 of X-Men 97. Now, I've been following this show since it aired. I wanted to do episode-by-episode reviews of it, just kind of got away from me. It couldn't find the time to do it. But after watching episode 5, holy shit, I had to come here and immediately record my thoughts on it. That episode blew me away. This whole show has blown me away. Everything about it. The animation style is great. It feels like the 90s, but a little cleaner. The storylines have picked up from where the 90s show left off in a really cool way. They're adapting stuff that's just super personal for these X-Men and these stories. And this episode was the height of that. I mean, the whole episode is, it's set in 2 locations. You got interviews happening at the mansion with a couple of the core X-Men characters, and then you have what's going on at the mutant nation of Genosha with Magneto, Rogue, and Gambit going there to kind of kick this nation off, kind of like not a ribbon-cutting ceremony, I don't know what you'd call it, but basically the first couple days of this being an official nation seen by the world as, a nation, kind of like United Nations. A new nation joining the United Nations is basically what has happened with Genosha, and just the storylines from this season that have been in play, they really came out in full in this episode, especially from the love triangle angles, right? You have the Rogue, Gambit, Magneto love triangle, which, I know in the comics that has happened before with Magneto and Rogue having a history like that, but it's a little weird to see it. I mean, come on, Magneto's like 70 years old. It's odd, and maybe he ages slower because of his mutant ability or whatever. I guess that's possible, but he looks like a 70-year-old fucking like bag lady, so I don't understand why Rogue is at all interested in that. I get the physical touch part of it, sure, but so there's that relationship or that love triangle going on, and then there's the love triangle going on. It's actually more of it's not a love triangle, it's a love box, I suppose, a square, because it's Cyclops, Jean Grey, Jean's clone, and Logan thrown into the mix, which, there was always a love triangle between Jean Grey and Logan and Cyclops, so it's kind of funny to see them rekindle that in a way, this odd situation that they're at because of the clone. So yeah, the episode's highly focused on those elements and how people are dealing with those elements, which is cool. I like it. Again, the show it's a very grown-up animated show, and I love it for that reason. It's very entertaining for me as a long fan of the X-Men and somebody who loved this show when I was a kid. So X-Men 97 is hitting it out of the park for me across the board. But this episode, man, the part that everybody's going to be talking about. So in previous episodes, clone Jean Grey has sent her son, Nathan. Is it Nathan? I can't remember what his name is, but into the future with Bishop, because there's a cure for the technovirus, or at least treatments for the technovirus in the future that can, help cure him or stabilize him. So they have to send him to the future. Scott and her will not be a part of his life, anything like that, right? And they're all dealing with the grief of this in their own ways. Scott has a moment where he kind of freaks out at a reporter who's asking questions about, oh, I see a birth record for your son, and it's really sad, and it all culminates with clone Jean Grey in Genosha. That's where she is. And then all of a sudden, who should come running up to warn people that some shit's about to go down but Cable, who is, Scott and clone Jean's son from the future. And they've met Cable in the timeline of the original X-Men show, but for him to show up right now after they've had their son and she sees his eyes and she goes, I know your eyes. And then he tried to warn her that something's coming, and then he's getting pulled back into the future before he gets a chance to actually tell her what's up. And then all of a sudden, this fucking massive version of Master Mold just drops out of the sky. And this is there's been little hints that this was going to happen anyways, due to Jean's visions and stuff. But it drops out of the sky and decimates a huge portion of is it Genosha or Genosha? I think I'm just going to keep saying Genosha. And decimates a massive part of it. Starts fucking murking mutants left and right. It's total chaos. So, meanwhile, before I'm getting a little ahead of myself. Meanwhile, Rogue and Magneto proposes that Rogue be his queen on the island because they want Magneto to be like the leader of this island, basically. And he proposes that to happen, and then her and Gambit have this like kind of heart-to-heart moment where she tells him like, "I can't be with you. We can't touch. There's nothing for us here. We can't go with this relationship." And Gambit says to her a line that's like, some things you don't have to touch to feel, or something like that, a really heartfelt line, and they kind of like go their own separate ways. So Rogue has tentatively, looks like, agreed to be Magneto's queen or wife or whatever, but even in that interaction, the small interaction she has with Magneto after these events, she sees that, no, this is wrong. I do love Gambit, so I can't be with you. I'm sorry. And so she leaves him to go look for Gambit right when all this pops off. So this whole Master Mold is taking mutants out left and right, destroying Genosha, and it's pure chaos. It's nuts. Magneto goes out to fight him. Nobody can get near this thing. Magneto's doing his best to hit it, and it's not doing anything. He can't stop it. A couple of the Morlocks are like surrounding him. That little toad Morlock guy. He's like, Magneto's like holding him, and I don't know if Magneto's alive or dead. It looks like he's probably dead with this green blast that is rifled through him and the Morlocks. It's fucking nuts. And Magneto, while this is going on, is forcing Rogue and Gambit, who have been trying to fight too, like back. He's like wrapping them in metal to keep them away from the fight. And after that blast goes through, Rogue fucking smashes through the barrier, and she's going full ham at this fucking thing, flying straight at it. And Gambit knows that like if Rogue gets hit with that blast, she's dead. He charges up the motorcycle he's been riding, knocks her out of the way of the blast, and then goes at the thing himself, which is like, Gambit, what are you doing? You can't take this thing out. And then sure enough, it starts targeting other mutants, but Gambit gets in its way, and it sends this spear through Gambit. And I was like, oh shit. Like he's pushed through. And then he has a great line though, where he says, as he's coming up, he goes, "The name's Gambit," and then he charges the thing that's inside him. With his abilities, and the whole thing lights up purple, and he's like, "Remember it," and blows the thing up and fucking saves the day. And it is so goddamn emotional. And then the last bit of the episode is the other X-Men are watching this happen from home. They don't know who's alive or who's dead. But it cuts back. It cuts back to this crater where this thing is, and Rogue is holding Gambit's body, like fully touching him. Nothing's happening. She's not absorbing his powers or anything. And she says, "I can't feel you," as it goes to black. And it's so fucking emotional. I can't believe that X-Men 97 in the 5th episode has seemingly killed off Magneto, seemingly killed off Gambit, and oh, dude, I don't know what the fuck is going to happen in this show. I swear to God, these people better not be dead, because I'll be really upset if they're dead. But if Gambit's dead, I can't picture a more heroic way for the character to go out, so I don't know, man. I'm a softie. Like, Rogue's finally like, no, I gotta be with Gambit, and then for this to happen, I mean, that's how good stories are written, but I don't want that, man. I don't want it. I'm a softie. I want Rogue and Gambit to get together now, and now it's not gonna fucking happen. So, oh my God, I truly can't believe how good the writing is on X-Men 97. It's top-notch writing. This single episode, I'm gonna say this, is to me the single greatest piece of X-Men content ever released. At least in video form, whether it be, movies or the TV shows or whatever. This is the single piece of this episode is the single greatest piece of media you can consume in X-Men form, in my opinion. I don't know who else. I mean, maybe the show will even get better. I don't know. But I can't imagine it's going to top this episode. What did you guys think about it? It's a lot. A lot happened in this episode. It's very heavy. My wife, who doesn't watch this show at all, she was trying to talk to me during like the last little bit there, and I was like, shh, verge? I'm trying to pick this all up. It's like, it's a cartoon, Kevin. I know it's a cartoon, okay? I know it's a cartoon, but I love it, and I can't believe that episode ended this way. So, anyways, guys, I loved episode 5. I am shook to my core as an X-Men fan about what has happened here, but what did you guys think of the episode? Whatever you thought about it, let me know in the comments. Click the like button, subscribe to the channel, and we'll come at you with more content later this week. See ya. Hey guys, thank you so much for clicking on this video. If you like what you saw here, make sure you're subscribed. We're trying to grow this channel, and every single subscription helps. You know what else helps? Clicking that like button. Click that notification bell. That way every single time that we drop a new bit of content, you get notified about it. If you like these conversations and you want to see the full unedited versions of them, make sure you go over and check out the Random Things podcast. We go live every Thursday night, and it gets crazy. We'll probably get canceled before we get too big.